Hi, my name's Denise Cantu, and I'm from Arizona State University. And I'd like to talk to you today about a debate that's been going on about teens attending school at a later time in the morning. The question is, should schools change start times based on teen sleep needs and habits? This is a debate based on science and logistics. Why are some people asking for change? As it turns out, teens need 8 to 10 hours of sleep. Teens naturally go to sleep around 11 p.m. One way to get more sleep, of course, is to start school later. So what is the science behind sleep? I found this really excellent video from the Department of Education of Southern Australia, and they cover all the high
Hello there.
very well.
My name is Sarah Blunden. I'm a sleep researcher and clinical psychologist, and I work with parents, teens and children and their families around sleep. Here are some helpful tips around sleep in teenagers. As children hit puberty in the teenage years, a lot of things change physically and emotionally. One other thing that changes significantly during those years is sleep. There are two main things that make sleep a problem in the teenage years. The first is social reasons. Teenagers have a lot of things going on in their lives, jam-packed full of activities, social activities, academic activities, family activities, sporting. Some of them even get part-time jobs and they start to learn to drive. Sleep is low on the priority list in these children. At bedtime, this is one of the only times in the day when teenagers are on their own and able to calm down, and often they use that time in their bedroom to communicate with their friends, use social media, use the internet. It's a time when they are by themselves doing what they do to calm down. The result of that is often that sleep is lost to other activities. The second main reason why sleep is a problem in teenage years is that there is a physiological change in their sleep patterns. With the onset of puberty, there is a change in the sleep hormone melatonin. So when melatonin rises, it starts a chain reaction that gets all our other body systems ready for sleep. In a child that was prepubescent, their melatonin might rise about 9:15 and they'd be sleepy about 9:30. For a teenager, that delays. Melatonin can start rising at 10 o'clock, 10:30, 11 o'clock, sometimes even later, which means that sleepiness and sleep onset doesn't start until much later. So they go to bed later. They're not tired. Or they go to bed at the time that the clock says they should be in bed and the time that mum and dad say to go to bed, but they're just not tired. So what will they do? They might lie in bed waiting to get to sleep, which can be very stressful. Or they might engage in social media. They're probably going to connect with their friends. That's going to keep them awake. They're going to expose themselves to light and be very active in their conversations with their friends. And that's going to make sleep onset even later. So during the school week, they're going to be going to bed later, but they can't sleep in because they have to get to school in the morning. So they cut short their sleep time. They get to school, they're inattentive, they're tired. On the weekend, because they have lost so much sleep during the week, they're likely to sleep in. They won't be tired enough on Saturday night to go to sleep at a reasonable time because they haven't been awake for long enough. They've slept in too long. They have a good sleep Saturday night, but Sunday morning, they might just sleep in a little bit longer. A Sunday night is really a school night, and they're not going to have been awake for long enough to be tired enough to get to sleep at the time that they need to get the sleep they need to get to school the next morning. And so the cycle continues. So there are four main areas that are affected when teenagers don't get enough sleep. The first is cognition. They won't be learning, remembering, concentrating as well as if they did get good sleep. And at that time of their lives, it's very important that they get good grades. The second area is emotions. During the teenage years, there is a very high incidence of depression and anxiety. And there's also a very high incidence of poor sleep. They are very related in all the research. It's not surprising that our teenagers who don't sleep well feel worse. The third area is behaviour. When we don't sleep well, risk-taking activity increases. Aggression increases, frustration increases. And finally, the fourth area that doesn't go well when teenagers don't sleep is physical activity. they're less likely to engage in physical activity. They're more likely actually to withdraw. Their physical appearance changes. They're more likely to be obese, have more accidents, and to get sick more often.
So based on the science, it just makes sense to start school later. But there are some logistical problems. Why are some people resisting change? Well, schools do not have enough buses in order to start elementary school, junior high or middle school, and high school at the same time. They do not have enough bus drivers to start at the same time. So what is the cost to taxpayers? Well, right now, taxpayers are saving money by only having one set of buses. And one bus driver per bus makes a third of the amount of having buses for elementary school, middle school, and high school to start at the same time. But clearly, it could double or triple if you had enough buses for even the elementary to start at the same time. The cost to taxpayers in just the buses themselves, gas, should be the same, but the actual number of buses would have to have 3 times as much compared to the other. Also, you'd have to have extra bus drivers because they would all be going at the same time. They would no longer be saving money the way they are now. So the other reason that people have for not wanting to change the school start times is school sports, music, clubs would all start late, and parents would not see their children until 6, 7, or 8 p.m. And in some school districts, it might even be later because they have such long bus trips to play sports because they're in a suburban area where they play with schools that are way far across town. So this can bring children back really, really late. So what do you think? Do you think that it's more important for kids to get sleep and possibly improve their grades and their learning ability? Or do you think that the cost to the taxpayers is just too much? And then not getting back until around 8 p.m. for sporting events, clubs, and music events. It's really up to you. I just wanted to give you a list of my references. If you want any more information on the topic, I encourage you to look up the references.